John had been on the road for hours. The only light came from his headlights cutting through the pitch-black night, the beam occasionally catching glimpses of the desolate forest lining the narrow, winding road. He cursed himself for taking the shortcut through this unfamiliar part of the countryside. His phone had lost signal hours ago, leaving him reliant on the vague memory of the GPS directions he'd checked earlier. As the clock on the dashboard ticked closer to midnight, fatigue began to set in. John's eyes grew heavy, and he found himself blinking longer than usual. He needed to stay awake, but the rhythmic thrum of the tires on the cracked asphalt was hypnotic. He glanced at the fuel gauge, nearly empty. Perfect, he thought, just perfect. John noticed a faint flickering light ahead. As he drew closer, he realized it was an old gas station. Relieved, he pulled in, the car crunching over gravel. The place looked like it hadn't seen a customer in years. The paint was peeling, and the windows were coated in grime. A single dim light hung above the entrance, casting eerie shadows. He stepped out of the car, the cold night air biting through his thin jacket. He walked over to the pump and lifted the nozzle, hoping for the best. To his surprise, it worked, and he began filling the tank. As he waited, he glanced around, feeling a growing sense of unease. There were no sounds, no crickets, no wind rustling through the trees, just an oppressive silence. The sound of a door creaking open made John jump. He turned to see an old man stepping out of the gas station's small shop. The man's face was gaunt, his eyes hollow and dark. He moved slowly, almost deliberately, towards John. "Long night?" the old man asked, his voice raspy. "Yeah, you could say that," John replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "How much do I owe you?" The old man's lips curled into a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Don't worry about it. Just passing through?" "Yeah, I'm on my way to the city. Got a bit lost, though." The old man nodded, his gaze never leaving John. "Be careful on these roads. Strange things happen out here at night." John forced a laugh, trying to shake off the chill creeping up his spine. "Thanks for the tip." As he got back into his car, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The old man stood there, watching him drive away, his figure shrinking in the rearview mirror until it disappeared entirely. Back on the road, John tried to dismiss the encounter, but the unease lingered. He turned on the radio, hoping for some distraction. Static. He flipped through the stations, but there was nothing but static. Annoyed, he switched it off. A few miles later, he saw something on the side of the road, standing just beyond the reach of his headlights. His heart raced as he slowed down, trying to make out who it was. A woman, her clothes tattered, her hair wild and matted. She stood motionless, staring directly at him with wide, empty eyes. John's instincts screamed at him to keep driving, but he felt compelled to stop. He rolled down the window slightly. "Are you okay? Do you need help?" The woman didn't respond, just continued to stare. Unnerved, he decided it was best to keep moving. As he started to roll up the window, she suddenly moved, slamming her hands against the glass, her face contorted in a mix of fear and anger. John floored the accelerator, his heart pounding as he sped away. In the rearview mirror, he saw her standing in the middle of the road, watching him until she was swallowed by the darkness. The road seemed to stretch endlessly, and John's fear grew with each passing mile. His mind raced with thoughts of the old man's warning and the woman on the road. Just as he was beginning to feel a glimmer of hope that he might soon reach the city, his headlights caught something ahead. A car, mangled and overturned, lay across the road. He slammed on the brakes, the car skidding to a halt. He got out, heart racing, and approached the road. It looked like it had been there for years, rusted. He noticed a shape inside. A skeleton, still strapped. He saw the unmistakable reflection of his own face in the cracked rearview mirror. Suddenly, the forest around him seemed to come alive with whispers. Shadows moved in the periphery of his vision, and the air grew colder. Panic set in, and he ran back to his car, desperate to escape. As he fumbled with the keys, a hand clamped down on his shoulder. He spun around to see the woman from the road, her eyes now filled with a knowing sadness. "You